So the color. Good day guys, Mark here again and welcome back to my channel. If you're new to my channel, you love cars, DIYs, and anything car related, please consider subscribing and check out my playlist. On today's video guys, we will be testing two types of spark plugs, different brand, different type, but it's the same in terms of heat range. We will be testing the NGKR nickel alloy spark plugs versus the Denso Iridium twin tip spark plugs. Both are for Hyundai Eon. Okay, so before we begin, let's go ahead and what do you call this? Read the or know the specifications between the two. Okay. All right. So let's start with the NGK spark plugs. So this is the ordinary nickel alloy spark plugs. It's NGKR. This is the most common replacement spark plugs for the one that comes with the factory, which is Champion. That's made in India, but the materials being used is actually the same. So the ground electrode and the tip itself is made out of both nickel alloy. So this one is very new. This is the one that I've used. I think this ran about less than maybe 2,000 kilometers. Okay, so this is fairly brand new. Okay, now there's not much specification for this spark plugs. It just says it's made out of nickel alloy ground and the tip itself. This is a good replacement for your stock spark plugs. Okay, in terms of performance, there's really not much of a difference, since this is the same what they call this materials that being used by the factory. Okay. All right guys, so now we'll go to the Denso Iridium twin tip. We can so if you go to the website of Denso, it says that the twin tip iridium is of course the ground electrode, and the what do you call this, the tip itself is made out of iridium. Oh, correction, the tip is iridium, the ground electrode is made out of platinum, and this has the smallest clearance of 0.4 mm. So what are the advantages of this one? It says here it's built for highly built-in highly reliable resistor, 360 welding, 0.7 mm needle shaped platinum ground electrode, ultra fine 0.4 mm ultra fine iridium center electrode, which is this one. Okay, and that's the ground electrode. So it says here that the flame growth on twin tip iridium is very significant compared to ordinary. It says here as well that the Denso Iridium twin tip has higher ignitability compared to ordinary spark plugs. It says that it can achieve higher temperature or stronger spark, basically, better fuel efficiency, and yeah, that's basically it. So what we're going to do today guys is we're gonna test both spark plugs in terms of the what do you call this, ignitability, the color of the spark plugs, the consistency of the spark. Okay, I do have a spark tester that we will be using to test both spark plugs. It will be supplying power to both spark plugs. We'll be comparing the two at specific power, the color of the spark, and the what they call this. Aside from the color, the size of the spark itself.
A few moments later.
So before we begin, guys, I just wanted to ask you if which of the two do you think will perform better, and which one would you prefer? So at price point, guys, the NGKR only costs about 200 to 250 bucks each, depending on the store that you'll be purchasing it from. On the other hand, the Denso Iridium twin tip, this one will cost you about 400 bucks before I ran out of stocks of this one, of the Denso Iridium twin tip, but I just found out with our supplier that the price increased for this one. So from 1,300 bucks for a set of three, um, now the price for this one is 1,800 for the set of three, versus this one you can purchase a set of this for only 6 to 750 bucks. Okay, so the price difference is quite big, but do you think it will be worth it? Let's go ahead and find out. So let's start with the NGK R spark plugs. Just to give you guys an idea, what does it look like? All right. Next would be the Denso Iridium twin tip. All right, so let's put this both of these spark plugs to the test. And if you guys are wondering what is the test, or what is the equipment that we will be using to test both spark plugs, so we will be using this bad boy. It's a spark plug tester. I purchased this online for thousand, I think 1,400 bucks. This one. So the idea would be is this is the spark plug slot where you can put any size of spark plugs, and then this is the power control for this one. So we will be testing both on at a different power frequency, and then we will be comparing the size, the color, and the consistency of the sparks that is coming from both of our spark plugs, which would be the spark plugs that we will be comparing today would be the NGKR nickel alloy spark plugs versus the Denso Iridium twin tip.
One eternity later.
All right, guys. So now that the light is off, we should be able to test both of the spark plugs. Now, the ideal color of the spark would be either blue or purple. The purple would be that means that that the temperature is really hot. Okay. Red one, similar with the gas range, guys. If the the fire turns into red or orange, that means that the LPG is about to run out. So the temperature of the fire that it produces is not as hot as the blue flame. Okay. Now we'll be testing the low voltage supply on both spark plugs. So this will highlight that which of the spark plugs require less power to operate. Okay, so let's switch on our tester. So let's put it around 1500. Okay, guys. Okay, I'm not sure if you guys can see it, but the Denso Iridium twin tip, guys, uh, is generating what do you call this, consistent spark, and it generates bluish spark, while on the NGK it shows a little bit of orange. Okay, all right, so guys, on the video it shows that the spark is cutting off, but in reality it does not cut off. You can hear it, it's giving a consistent spark. Okay, the problem or the difference that I'm seeing right now is that the NGK laser iridium doesn't what do you call this, provide consistent spark. Okay, versus the Denso, it gives out bigger spark and looks what do you call this, purple. Okay, so let's increase the power. So check out the difference or the spark difference between the two. So clearly the Denso twin tip looks thicker and looks bluer. Okay, let's increase the power a bit more. Check out the spark, guys. So the NGK has a very thin spark versus the Denso. It gives out blue huge spark, and believe me, guys, the video or the spark, it doesn't cut off. Okay, it's continuous. Let's increase the power a bit more. See, you can clearly see the spark on the Denso Iridium twin tip. Let's increase the power. Oh, check out that spark. So the color of the ordinary is not as purplish as the Denso, and look at the size of that spark, guys. Oh my gosh, look at the color of that one, guys, and the size versus the NGK. So let's try to max out the power. You see, guys, the color of the spark here, it's like white, and the spark on the NGK, it's not that consistent, guys. It's not concentrated. You see clearly, even if you decrease the volume, guys, the NGK, it shows a bigger spark. On low voltage, guys, uh, the Denso Iridium gives out a hotter and a bigger spark. That explains why if you install the Denso Iridium twin tip, you'll feel the increase in power, acceleration, and fuel efficiency because it burns fuel better.
One eternity later.
All right, so that concludes the comparison between the two, the NGKR nickel alloy spark plugs versus the Denso Iridium twin tip. I'm not going to what do you call this? Make it longer. Clearly, the Denso Iridium twin tip wins this battle in terms of the size, the concentration, the color, and the consistency, guys. Hands down, Denso Iridium twin tip rules or beats the NGKR nickel alloy spark plugs. Now, what's the difference between the two? The only difference between the two, guys, is the hex, which is this. This is the one that's being used to tighten and loosen the spark plugs, and the ceramic. This one is clearly smaller on the compared to the NGKR. But does that make a difference in terms of performance? No. Okay. So currently our NG or Denso Iridium twin tip is out of stock. If you guys are interested, I might do an order basis for this one. This would cost you $1,800 for the set of 3. I don't have any NGK laser iridium as of the moment, but once it arrives, I'm gonna do comparison between the laser iridium and twin tip iridium if I still have the twin tip iridium on hand. If not, we'll be comparing it with the NGKR ordinary. Okay. But since we do have a video file for the Denso Iridium twin tip, we can still compare between the two.